Yeah. 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 Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to CGL, where we have a matchup in the NA Masters tier right here between two good teams of King Gambit and Utopia Altruria. My name is Dextron, and tonight I am joined by Dividing. Dividing, man, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Really excited to be able to make my CGL debut on such an impactful game here. Dex, this is not only the last week before the midseason tournament here, it's one of the last games to be played outright before everyone has played 4 games in the first half of the season. And here in the Masters division, where we will be getting into a little bit later, there is a bit still to be decided as to who's going to make that top 4 and compete in the midseason playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot to be decided in this game specifically. King's Gambit needs to win this one basically to try to secure themselves in to those midseason playoffs right now. Utopia Altruria, though, there's no way they can make it in, but they can definitely play spoiler tonight.
I mean, even though Utopia Altruria, they don't have the ability to get in to this midseason tournament, obviously, they still have a lot of interest in making sure that they win this game, keep themselves at an even 2-2 going into the second half of the season, and puts them by far at the best situation possible going into round 2, where a bunch of stuff is going to change. Flashpoint will be added, all that stuff. There's going to be a lot of interesting changes that are going to shake up the league, and you don't want to be behind the 8 ball when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. But while we're talking about the teams here tonight, why don't we introduce you to these teams here tonight, starting with King's Gambit right now. Your DPS line for King's Gambit is Goose and Snoops. Your tank is Boxer Walker. And then your support line is Monkey and Rakasi there. Now, this is a really good lineup right now. They have only swept teams and been swept coming into this game right now. So a 6-3 map record so far this season. You know, that kind of tells me they are one of these better teams here in this master tier.
Absolutely. Then they've proved it throughout the season. I want to take a second here and just really lay out the stakes here for this squad. King's Gambit currently sits in 5th place in the Masters tier. They are this is the only Masters tier game that is yet to play. And they're sitting in 6th with a 2-1 record and 6-3 map differential. Standing in their way is Kabakeo, who has 3-1 plus 4 map differential. So the math here works out to be that King's Gambit, if they win 3-0, they're good. They're in. If they win 3-1, they're good. They're in. If they win 3-2, it comes down to strength of schedule, which is going to be very interesting. It's very close right now. King's Gambit has a slight advantage, but it hasn't factored in the 4th game yet. So we'll see what ends up happening there. And then, of course, if they lose, then they are just out, and Kabakeo will take that 4th slot. So there's a lot on the line here for King's Gambit, and it's time to see if they can hold up to that pressure.
Is absolutely right there, Dividing. But why don't you introduce us to the team that's trying to play spoiler tonight of Utopia Altruria?
Yeah, we're going to be starting off with Volt, who's going to be playing the tank role here. Loves the Zarya. We'll see if they get a chance to play some Zarya today. Blur and Expective are going to be coming in as the DPS duo, and then we have Marlowe and Uniday bringing up the support line. This is the team that has been able to hang in there in these games. They are sitting at 1-2 overall at just a -2 map differential, so their 2 games that they've lost have been very, very close. They've been able to take maps off of just about anybody, but it's just a matter of being able to finish the job today.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to bounce back from their last week loss to no one there. That was a 3-1 loss for them there. But I really expect they're going to come out here tonight, wanting to bounce back. And like you said, there's still a lot to play for here for Utopia. They might not be in the midseason tournament, but they are definitely trying to make sure they are in a good spot for the end of season tournament.
Yeah, they still have a chance to finish with a positive map differential here with a 3-0, which would be a pretty massive advantage over the other teams that are kind of hanging around in the middle of the pack of the Masters tier. So, so yes, absolutely. If Utopia Altruria are going to come out here and they're going to really stake their flag as a top team, this is a great day to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's get to the maps now. All maps predetermined before we go in. We'll be starting off with Anarch Peninsula, Blizzard World, and Route 66 are definitely the 3 maps we will see tonight. Esperanza is the 4th map if needed, and the winner-take-all 5th map would be Busan. Now, Dividing. Heading into Antarctic here first, what do you necessarily see teams want to come out and playing?
Yeah, I mean, Antarctic Peninsula in the past has been a very brawl-heavy map. It's a map that has some pretty confining map geometry, a lot of walls, a lot of little divots that the point rests inside, which really forces people to play up close. So, in the past, that has been the Reinhardt, but Orisa has also been very strong as of recent, so we could very easily see the Orisa with the ability to go gold, use the javelin spin, and just chase down one of the more squishy members of the opposing team. I'd be really interested to see if either of these tanks that didn't really say they liked Orisa very much in their cards. We'll see if they decide to come out with it today.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, just the initial things. We have King's Gambit riding with the Rhine and Altruria riding with the Orisa here. Yeah.
They're going to roll with it, but what both teams are going to be running with is that Bastion coming up from Expective and Snoops, respectively, on both teams. Obviously, tons and tons of damage, and they're going to have a big main tank to be able to try and keep them out of harm's way. I'll be curious to see if Zeus is going to be staying on the Symmetra or if this is just for the initial TP. Zeus is going to stay on the Symmetra. Notably did not use their own TP there, so it's lagging behind the rest of King's Gambit a little bit for this first engagement.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see for your Symmetra. Normally, like you said, it was going to be interesting to see if they're going to stay on the Symmetra. I'm surprised they are right now, but maybe they're thinking they can get that beam built up here a little bit and be able to melt down that shield and then just walk through everyone else.
Yeah, they're going to be able to do so as both teams kind of face off on both sides. Snoops is going to get the first pick over there with that sticky grenade, and that is going to be the opening for Altruria to just go in full force on King's Gambit. That is going to be the first map control taken by what we would consider to be the underdog going into this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're immediately seeing some swaps coming out here for King's Gambit. Blur going over to the Orisa now. Zeus, though, staying on the Symmetra, still a very interesting pick. I really think you would only use it for the TP out of spawn, but right now they are feeling that it has something that they can use here to get into this fight.
Absolutely. As we get into a bit of a neutral engagement here, both teams kind of still building up to those first ultimates. As, of course, we get the engagement coming in, tank form coming out from Expective, trying to bring out the damage, but it's Blur who goes down early, doesn't have quite as much damage mitigation after that Javelin spin has been used. Altruria do not currently have a tank to work with here, especially after there is a lot of damage on the other side. Utopia are holding on to this one for now.
I believe the team names are actually swapped on our screen, so it's actually King's Gambit who's holding the point right now. Altruria is coming back and trying to take it for the first time here, and they want to come around to this midpoint here, but you see Terror Surge coming out here from Boxer Walker, not going to be able to find one, but you see the follow-up come from as they are able to Javelin Marlowe down there, trying to get rid of Hayden as well. Not going to be able to, but it does force Utopia here to fall back.
Yeah, they're going to fall back here for a moment as King's Gambit trying to take advantage of these ultimates that they have built up here. They have the Symmetra ultimate, they have the Baptiste ultimate, the Amplification Matrix up and ready to go. Will they let go of these ultimates, though? It feels like at 88% and counting, it's kind of do or die here for King's Gambit. They're going to go for a bit of a soft reset here. They do have the ultimate advantage going into this last one. It's do or die for the squad.
Yeah, but they have the touch point. They're going to be able to do that here. You immediately see the Amplification Matrix come out and the wall come out from Zeus there. Blur able to find Boxer. That's a great opening here for Utopia right now as they desperately want to try to take the point. For the first time they do, because you do see King's Gambit lose Boxer Walker there, and that does force everyone to fall back, because when you lose that Orisa, you really struggle to have a lot of presence there on the point.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult. But King's Gambit does have the Lucio available. It'll allow them to speed from one side of the point to the other, depending on where Utopia wants to go with this one.
Yeah, so you see the Mortar Strike come out here from Snoop's. Not going to be able to find anyone there, but Blur able to find Rack. Hayden able to follow that right up onto Monkey. Snoop, though, able to find Hayden right back. That might keep them in this fight, but being down one of their supports, you're still going to see him fall back a little bit here, but Blur able to find Goose there. And you have to give this Utopia team a lot of credit. They were down 99-0, and now they're starting to win these team fights by just picking off a couple people before a real engagement really starts.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job at it, but it is forcing them to dig into that ult economy more and more. And Hayden does have the beat available. That's a great defensive tool, but going into the hands of both support ults, which are both offensive, and the Orisa ultimate from Boxer Walker, will it be enough? It's actually going to come out early in response to the Ilaria ult.
Captain Sun comes out there. Snoop able to find Blur there. That's a huge pickoff, but you see the Captain Sun from Rack find two. Boxer Walker able to find Expective there, and now you do see King's Gambit take control of the point. Now they're trying to clean up the stragglers there for Utopia, and no one will be able to get back in time. And King's Gambit, like I said, they had that 99-0. They looked really good, and then Utopia got one little team fight win by getting rid of the tank for King's Gambit first, and they kind of snowballed that up until that point there where you saw both Captive Suns come out.
Yeah, after that Captive Sun came out from Rack, Hayden immediately got spooked into using the beat, and as soon as that happened, I think King's Gambit knew that they had the huge advantage there with the amplification matrix and the Orisa ultimate available for them to use. Really nicely done from them, kind of spooking Hayden into using that. As we head into Underground for round number 2, we are going to see Hayden go off of the Lucio here. Both sides are going with the Illari.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of seeing the traditional kind of Orisa, Illari, BAP comp right now. The only difference is King's Gambit coming out with the heavy damage dealer of Bastion, and you see Utopia coming out with the definite one-shot opportunity of Zeus on that Sojourn right now. And they're desperately trying to just, force that problem right now. You see that everyone at King's Gambit kind of realizes that and are playing around corners here.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job here as Blur gets caught out in a little bit in no man's land, out of the reach of the immortality field from Marlowe, and that is going to be the indication that King's Gambit needed to just walk right on through, and this is what Orisa is so good at, just walking and commanding the space around her. There's no one in the entire server that can deal with that on King Gambit's side when Blur goes down. Sorry, on Altruria's side when Blur goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're seeing Altruria try to come back in here, and you immediately see Blur down there, away from their team, get really low, but you do see Marlowe get them healed back up. Zeus able to find the healing pylon there from Rack, and now you just see this fight on the high ground right now. As King's Gambit already captured, they want to try to hold on to this high ground. Utopia has to try to get them away from it or get them off it. The Javelin comes out. They try to get Boxer off of it. Now here comes the artillery strike from Snoops, trying to find anyone they can, dealing a lot of damage in that small corner, and you see the follow-up from it. Goose, Monkey, Boxwalker picking up 4. Now they're just trying to get rid of Blur here to pick up the team kill. And they're going to be able to do that.
Beautifully done from Snoops. I think you don't usually think of those artillery shells of being kind of a killer ultimate. You have a lot of time to get out of the way. It's really more of a zoner, but Snoops did a really good job, and the entire King's Gambit did a really good job of identifying that Utopia had really committed to that fight. So really well done. Utopia coming back into this one, though, with the Amp Matrix, with the Orisa ult, and with the Overclock up and ready to go. Also kept this
having to be invested here early, but Goose shuts down Marlowe, so no amplification matrix. Terror Surge coming out from Boxer Walker, amplification matrix coming out from Monkey. You immediately see it turn into 1 kill there from Boxer onto Blur, the dueling Orisa right now. Utopia trying to bring this fight to point, but it doesn't matter. Snoops taking care of Expective there, and Utopia just already trying to fall back right now, not lose any more people in this fight.
Yeah, they have to back up to 80% and counting. There's really only one fight available, and one more stagger would all but win map 1 for King's Gambit. Utopia, though, they only use the overclock in that fight, so they're going to have all 4 of their other ultimates available. Just like map 1, it's do or die.
Yeah, and remember, this is exactly what happened for Altruria in the first round. It was ultimates on top of ultimates here. Cactus comes out from Rack, able to hit a couple there, able to find one off it, but it's Rack, Goose, and Rack picking up 3 here. Snoops will pick up the final one for another team kill to end it here for King's Gambit.
Incredibly well done from this squad, who comes out on a very brawl-heavy map to start off the series, and I think proves, especially when it comes to this specific flavor of like Orisa, Illari brawl, they are the superior team right now. I think they did a very good job of being able to engage on the abilities of Volt, and they did a really great job of playing around their ultimates, maybe more so than Altruria was, because they had a lot of they did a really good job of being able to cycle their ults, is I guess what I'm saying, whereas Altruria in response had many moments where they either used all their ults in one fight or kind of ended up not using any because they got jumped on too fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And touching on that point of getting jumped on too fast here, that was one of the best things that King's Gambit did on that map. They took fights early and they ended them pretty fast, not allowing Utopia to get any ultimate charge built up there, because as we saw there on that second point, basically they were coming into that last engagement with 4 ultimates. That's because most of them were just getting their ultimates before that point right there. So King's Gambit has done a good job of making these team fights not last very long, making sure that they're the ones getting the ult charge built up, not Utopia.
Notably, Utopia Altruria, they had a Lucio in map 1. You'd think that they'd be the faster team in that case, but it seemed like maybe they had a little bit of what I like to call paralysis by analysis, where they would just kind of hang out in the choke point for a little bit too long and kind of set themselves up to be jumped on a little bit by the members of King's Gambit. especially when you're playing the Lucio variant of this Brawl comp, you really have to take advantage of that speed, try and take the other team off guard before they're ready for you. And I don't think that Altruria did a great job most of the time, especially in map 1 of doing that. And then, of course, when it came to the Illari mirror, it was even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you can go back to that first point there on Antarctic. They ran that Symmetra for the entire map. Or that was a questionable choice that both me and you kind of agreed on there. Why did they stick on it? They didn't really find any value with it. We saw them get that wall there, which did help them win a team fight and get that point for a little bit, which they did look a little bit better once they had control of it. But that was mostly because they were always finding early picks as King's Gambit tried to come back in and contest. But then once King's Gambit had their ultimates built back up, it was a pretty even fight. We saw both Captain Suns come out, but it was only King's Gambit's Illari coming out on top.
It's just like the question is, was it worth it, right? You're able to get that one fight win with it, which is awesome with your ultimate, but unfortunately, the Symmetra was just outranged by the Sojourn and the Bastion on the other side most of the time. All the time. Symmetra just does not have the range to handle it. I can understand maybe trying to use the Symmetra teleporters to try and confuse the other team, try and outmaneuver them, but I think after 1 or 2 fights of trying that and it not working, you kind of have to swap. Make sure you'll go on a character that'll have enough time to build up that ultimate. And unfortunately, I think Altruria just hung on to that comp a little bit too long.
Yeah, they definitely did on that first point. Second point, like we said, kind of mirrored match the entire time. The only difference, I think they had a Soldier for a little bit there before swapping over to a Bastion themselves. But, map 1 is over. It's in the books. We're going to be heading into Blizzard World here next. What do you think Utopia Altruria needs to do here to kind of improve from what we saw on map 1?
Yeah, when it comes to King's Row, not King's Row, my goodness. When it comes to Antarctic Peninsula, it's a very up close and personal kind of brawling in your face kind of map, and that's a lot of what we saw. It was very, very fast paced, but Blizzard World offers a chance for Utopia Altruria to kind of slow things down, right? You have a lot of really solid high grounds that you can play around. You can kind of set a Hanzo or an Ashe up in those areas and just poke away at the attackers without any care in the world. I think that you really have to change the tempo of the match to be one that you are more comfortable with, because when I watch these games, Dex, it does feel like the team that controls the tempo tends to win the map in a lot of the time. Map 1, King's Gambit pretty clearly had control of the tempo. They were playing at a level that was too fast. So with Blizzard World, just take a deep breath and slow it down.
Absolutely. But do you think we know Utopia Altruria does have 2 subs on their bench right now, and I believe they are both tank subs. The person who was playing tank in map 1 is classified as a flex on their rosters. They can play anything here. Do you think we might see one of those tank subs come in here for Altruria coming into map 2?
Yeah, it's very possible. Shadowstorm is listed as a Winston player, and then we have Volt, who is listed as a Zarya player. So it does seem like they're kind of there as specialists somewhat. And yeah, Blur is going to stay in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Blur is currently listed as a flex player. Most played hero, Genji. Favorite hero, Sombra. So definitely more of a DPS player at heart for Blur, but it's gonna have to step into that sort of leadership role for this team, whether it's because they think it's the best for them or it's because their substitute players couldn't make it today. We don't really know. But regardless, Blur stays in for Altruria and what is going to be a pretty decisive attack here on Blizzard World. I know it feels like we're still a little early, but if Utopia can't get anything done on their attack here in map 2, there's going to be a lot of trouble for them moving forward, almost certainly going down 0-2 in the series and requiring a reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're King's Gambit, you're 1-up in the series. If you 3-0 sweep, you're pretty much in a really good spot to lock yourselves into that midseason tournament right now. So, you're taking this right now as we had a really good first map. You want to come in and keep that momentum up from that first map here on Blizzard World.
Absolutely. As we head out into this one, keep an eye on Expective, who is going to be the only flying hero, at least to start off here, as this Echo. King's Gambit has Snoops, Goose, and Rack, who have hit scan abilities to be able to take that Echo out of the sky. So Uniday is going to have her hands full, keeping that Echo healthy. Also keep an eye on Snoops, staying on this Bastion on the second map. Are you going to be able to get value out of that tank form?
Speaking of value, right away they find Expective, and look at what that does there to Altruria. You immediately see King's Gambit just get on the offensive here, already take 3 members of Altruria out. They're trying to get Blur out of that mech, not going to be able to, as Uniday right there, going to be able to keep him supported and alive.
Yeah, very, very well done from King's Gambit. They timed it really well to go along with when Blur was diving onto the high ground. So Altruria still kind of stuck here on this choke point, trying to poke in with Zeus and Expective swapped over to the Hanzo now, trying to sort of play around the statue, get around them, but wisely, I think, Boxer Walker has gone to the bottom, but Expective with a well-placed shot in a second is going to open things up for this team.
Make it 3 for the Hanzo player there. Gets javelined out of it, but they want more. They're still alive. They're still able to throw some arrows. Marlowe going to end their streak right there, but it's all up to Boxer Walker, and Zeus will take care of them. And after that slow first engagement right there from Utopia, they've immediately turned it around and are going to turn it probably into a first point cap.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely into a first point cap. Even if you were to go into this one, look at all of those check marks on the field for Altruria. This is why you run the Hanzo in these situations, Dex. Sometimes you just go a little crazy. Sometimes those arrows get a little bit of magnetism to it and just find people's heads over and over. Altruria now not only have point A, but have pretty much all 5 ults to work with.
And starting off this one great right there. Zeus finding the railgun headshot there on the Goose, who swaps over to their own Hanzo right there. And you do see Blur does have a bomb ready to go. Gonna use it probably for a remaking opportunity. But right now, Alturia's doing a good job just putting a lot of pressure on the King's Gambit. They're really trying to make sure they don't get too comfortable on that high ground. But Boxer Walker right there, taking care of Zeus, might kind of force Utopia to fall back. And you immediately see what King's Gambit does. They want to get back on the offensive here. Boxer Walker sitting on the cart right now, and it will force the Dragons out here from Expective, but they're not going to be able to find anyone. Terror Surge coming out from Boxer Walker right now, trying to find Expective, gonna be able to find Expective. Captain Sun being used by Rack there, maybe trying to combo something up there, but maybe a little bit too late coming out there from Rack.
Very conservative approach there from Altruria, only using that Dragons that you pointed out there. Makes me wonder if maybe a little bit too conservative, though. Now you have a really awesome opportunity for Altruria where it's 4 ults to 1. There's the overclock being used early, but Goose with a big headshot onto Expected before being taken out. Even with these ults being used, it was a nano overclock. Things are still very even.
Yeah, they're able to find Goose, and Uniday able to get Expective back in this one. Bomb now coming out from Blur. It's an offensive bomb, and they're able to find Monkey there. That's huge for Utopia right now as they are down base, or King's Gambit is down. Their primary healer there as they lost their healing pylon as well. Now you're starting to see Utopia here get on the offensive. You really want to see Blur here maybe go after Boxer Walker, and that's exactly what they're going to do, having to use all their abilities right there to make sure they don't fall. You do see Snoops come back out there, make sure Blur does fall back there a little bit, but now Altruria just slowly pushing this card up as they again re-engage on the high ground, but then smartly fall off.
Yeah, Goose is doing a really good job of trying to make sure this high ground is uncontested. The artillery shells coming through from Snoops, trying to make something happen. And it does enough damage to let Boxer Walker finish off Expective and Marlowe as well. So again, another very well-placed artillery shells from Snoops opens things up for King's Gambit, but there is a res that keeps things pretty even for the moment. Never mind, it is not very even anymore, is it? With Uniday standing still, basically giving up the fight.
No, not at all. Just a couple good kills there from King's Gambit to kind of even stuff out and force Altruria to fall back.
Yeah, they fall right on back, and unfortunately, that big ult advantage that I was talking about a few minutes ago is all but gone. The nano boost is really all Utopia is going to have to work with in this one, and they're going to be playing into 3 ultimates, including that Captive Sun, Terra Surge, and watch out for those dragons coming right at your face, Expective.
And they are able to dodge those dragons perfectly there, keep themselves alive. Now, if Expective can pop off like they did last, or the team fight that got them that first point, it could be huge for them, but Snoops fighting Zeus out early, and then you just see the follow-up from King's Gambit. Goose and Snoops again, just taking care of Expective and Uniday right there. Now your Utopia is deciding whether or not to keep in this fight or just fall back, and right now, down a couple members, you're going to want to fall back, but you do see Marlowe and Blur there, actually in a precarious position. Marlowe going to fall, Blur going to somehow keep themselves alive and in that mech.
Yeah, very well done. Going to avoid an even bigger stagger than what might have happened, which is actually huge for Utopia. It means that you're going to have at least 2 solid fights here before you end up in overtime. You got to use this fight, I think, to try and build up as big an ultimate pool as possible, because King's Gambit have been pretty conservative with theirs, and they're still winning fights.
Zeus just got that overclock right there, and you're seeing the ultimates that King's Gambit is starting to build up right now. They have basically 4 of the 5. The Nano coming out on the blur, looking for the bomb right now, maybe, but they're getting very aggressive, trying to get King's Gambit off that high ground. Amplification match coming out there from Monkey. Now the Terror Surge coming out, followed by the Captive Sun. Captive Sun Terror Surge able to find 2 kills there right now, as you do see. But the bomb from Blur able to find 2, keeping them in this fight right now. That's a huge kill for them now. It's pretty much even across the board. You're seeing people get aggressive here. Boxer Walker able to find Marlowe. Rack able to find Expective. King's Gambit, though, keeping on top of this one. And now Blur in the worst spot of everyone, because they have no supports. And now they're trying to make sure they are able to escape with their mech.
Blur absolutely cannot get demeched here. With 15 seconds left on the clock, it looks like are going to be able to safely get away, which means for this final fight, Altruria are going to have an actual tanker to work with. But Zeus pops their head up onto the high ground and is immediately popped by Goose.
You do see the Valkyrie pop there by Unity, trying to keep everyone supported right now. Expective so close to a visor, but Snoops takes care of him. Dragon coming at it from Goose, going to be put on cart, trying to force everyone from Altruria off it right now. But Blur right there, making sure they're going to be able to stay on it. Unity still just supporting them right now, but you see everyone for King's Gambit right there, just on the cart, trying to get rid of Blur on this mech. They're going to be almost able to, but Unity going to be fall, or no, keep themselves alive. The mech falls there for Blur. They're trying to keep themselves alive. Unity falls. It's going to be followed up here by Marlowe. Blur probably next one as they got that remake opportunity. Snoops coming alive here with 2 kills, but that will be all that Utopia gets here in this round. It started off very strong for them, but they started to bleed time and bleed some fights.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were in a really good position after taking point A, but after that, they had a couple of fights where they tried to use those ultimates to their advantage. They just couldn't convert. And then, once again, they were behind the 8-ball in ults. They were behind the 8-ball in that they had to squeeze through a bunch of tiny choke points. And unfortunately, they get stopped before the second stage checkpoint. Now, it isn't over here, obviously, for Altruria. They have quite a few choke points that King's Gambit is now going to have to fight their way through. I think Blizzard World is a pretty defensively favored map because you have the ability to just poke at the other team as they're trying their best to get through these choke holds and get on these high grounds. Notably, we are going to be seeing Blur go to Sigma here. This is going to be really good. It's the most flexible shield in the game, so Expective is really going to appreciate what should be pretty much just a perma shield on this Hanzo all time. Just be able to lob arrows in at their leisure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Expective is definitely one of those players I'm watching for this round. They were able to pop off, really help their team get started last round. But then after that, they kind of slowed down a little bit. And I feel like it kind of hurt their team. If Expective can stay consistent.
Look at Zeus here. Look at Zeus going for an aggressive play to start. Right underneath them. And King's Gambit has no idea when is this Tracer going to make her move. You see her popping out.
You love to see it, man. Oh, they're going to try to focus in here and Rack, but Rack immediately knows it, uses their healing pylon right here, and Marlowe going to be, or Monkey going to keep them support, but Zeus will take out that healing pylon as you still see King's Gambit here take control of that high ground, but Expective, like I said, they needed to have a big round this round to keep their team in it. Able to find Goose here early, but that will not stop this team fight as King's Gambit is still going to keep in this one right now, as you do see Boxer Walk here just try to walk in on this Hanzo and Mercy right now, but Zeus able to take care of Monkeys. Snoops comes right back onto Marlowe right there to get rid of a support for both sides. The Babs for both sides, actually, but Unity able to get Marlowe back in this one. Expective, though, finding Snoops. And now, Altruria does have the numbers advantage here. They seem to try to clean up this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Marlowe going down, that was the main healer for Altruria, but I just don't think that King's Gambit has the manpower here for that to really matter. And notably, that was a very time-consuming fight for King's Gambit. They spent a whole minute trying to just close the distance to the point there. So you don't have a ton to work with. And we're actually going to see a few swaps prompted from King's Gambit as they go to a very old-school die. I mean, what year is it, Dex? Is it 2016 with Winston Genji Tracer? Yeah, let's go for it.
Man, who doesn't love a good throwback on a Sunday right now? But you look at Utopia right now. 2 ultimates ready to go. Make it 3 as Unide gets their Valkyrie. And Zeus, that pulse bomb could be very deadly, especially to anyone on their side, especially with Monkey falling there. As Expective able to find them. They are keeping it alive right now. 2 kills onto both the supports. Make it 3. This is what they needed to have happen for them. Zeus will shut down Goose. And now, again, Snoop's last one alive. Just going to run themselves out of this fight. Try to keep themselves alive.
This is just the pocket Expective show and let this Hanzo go off. And it's working so well right now for Altruria, who constantly has a shield in front and a mercy damage boost in the back, has been carrying these fights and has a Dragon Strike to show for it. Zeus not wanting to be outdone though, has the Pulse Bomb as well. But notably, Snoops has the Blade and there really isn't a good way to counter it. Unless you get rocked! Oh gosh!
Accretion there, but they want to focus on Unide here. However, they're not going to be able to as they get fluxed out of the sky by Blur. A huge ultimate coming out here from the Sigma right there. The Pulse Bomb also to come out from Zeus. Not going to be able to find anyone there. However, you do see Boxer Walker throwing those hands around, trying to find whoever they can. Looks like they're focusing in on Expected. They're going to be able to find them there, but Zeus able to trade out Goose there. That's a good trade for Utopia right now, as they're just trying to get rid of anyone they possibly can see. Boxer Walker diving back in on point right now. Zeus trying to find whoever they can. Rack will find Marlowe, though. So this is really good for King's Gambit at the moment. Just slowly cleaning up everyone right now and starting to force Utopia to fall back a little bit here. But Expected using dragons from spawn?
I mean, I think you may as well here. It might be a swap here for Expect. I don't know. I think Expect is probably going to stay on it. I really want to give props to Blur, though, who used everything to make sure that Snoops did not get any value out of that blade. Hit the mid-air rock, but unfortunately, it doesn't end up mattering here as they find Expective. And that was the main damage dealer, and this is an insane amount of push here. Unide being pushed back to Utopia spawn, still getting the kill. There's no damage here. Boxer Walker has not taken any damage this entire time, basically, and Goose is just going wild. Oh, no.
I absolutely love what King's Gambit is doing here. They're being very aggressive. Yeah, they're only moving the spawns back a little bit, but now they can practically, if they want to, spawn hold Utopia here. And this is just free card space right now because they have a much less time bank than what Utopia did.
Yeah, absolutely. They only have about 2 minutes to get about 50 meters. That's not a done deal by any means, but with that Kitsune Rush available from Monkey, that's going to be very appreciated from Snoops, very appreciated from Goose, but it's actually going to be Zeus on the other side who gets the Pulse Bomb available onto Rack. So no Pulse Bomb, notably no beat either. Rack was 80% of the way there.
Front Rage coming out there from Boxer, not going to be able to find anyone with it, but does force out a lot of utility there from Marlowe. Zeus though picking up Goose there. Blur able to find Monkey, and now King's Gambit probably have to fall back on this one. 1:45 left to go. They do have, they are coming up on 4 ultimates here. Same could be set, or no. Utopia is only going to come up on maybe 2 in this next team fight. If Expected can get a Death Blossom here, it could be, you know, fight changing for them, especially with Boxer Walker right there.
Yeah, absolutely. They just need one here to try and hold things back. Kitsune Rush comes out. Snoop is ready with the super powered blade. Already has 1 to their name. And there's going to be a squish, a bomb from Blur to shut Snoops down. And Unide gets in with the res. This isn't over yet. Altruria trying to hold their ground here with only about 10 meters to go before they lose this Blizzard World map. But they're holding strong thanks to a huge defensive effort from the tanks and supports.
Death Blossom coming out here from Expective there. We'll find 1. Blur makes it 2. Zeus makes it 3 right there. This is exactly what Utopia needed here. That was a long, drawn-out team fight, but in the end, that's what helps them, eating that time bank away. A team kill, as you see, 40 seconds and counting now, and King's Gambit making some swaps here.
Not just some swaps, they're swapping their entire team around, Dex. These are some panic swaps if I've ever seen them from King's Gambit, saying maybe, just maybe, the Orisa Rush will give me what we need. Maybe we'll be able to use the damage from the Bastion, but you have no ultimates. You have to dodge this Pulse Bomb. You have to avoid the Valkyrie healing. And Zeus is coming in from the side once again, trying to pick their target. Gets the stick onto the Bastion, and it is going to be taken out even with the Immortality Field.
Expective able to find them there. Remember, King's Gambit, they need to win this map to give themselves the best opportunity here to keep themselves alive for this mid-season tournament. The Valkyrie coming out here from Utopia, they definitely want to try to play spoiler here, but Rack able to find Zeus. A great start here for King's Gambit right now, even down Snoops, who is coming back on the Tracer, but you can see how far they are away. 13 meters. You need a couple kills coming out here. Bomb coming out from Blur. That's been big in the past. They don't find anything this time, but they get a crush kill onto Monkey. Now the overclock coming out here from Goose. Definitely trying to find anyone. Expected shuts them down. Rack, though, finding another kill there onto Uniday right now. The Terror Surge coming out here from Box is not going to be able to find anyone right there. Trying still is King's Gambit. Rack finally falls. There goes a lot of your healing, a lot of your damage. Boxer follows them to the grave as well. Snoops trying to keep themselves alive, but they get shut down as well. And Utopia will even this series at 1.
That was an incredible defensive effort from Utopia. Altruria finding consistent life for the first time this series, right when it needed to happen. Beautifully done. They played around high grounds beautifully. They played around their win condition beautifully, which, I mean, a lot of the time was the work of this player right here. Expective with the smooth aim on the Hanzo, making it work over and over again for the squad.
Absolutely, and like I said, going into that defensive round for Utopia Altruria there, Expective needed to be that player that really showed out, because in that first round, we saw the play of the game right there, that really got them started, but then after that, they kind of slowed down, and it kind of slowed their team down a little bit as well, but you saw it there on the entirety of that defensive time. Expective and Zeus finding kill after kill after kill, really helping their team out a lot. When those two players are on fire or just on it, it seems like it's going to be really hard for King's Gambit to try to shut them down.
And of course, we have to bring it back to the big picture here, the playoff picture for the mid-season tournament. King's Gambit needs a 3-0, not possible anymore, a 3-1 to get them into the mid-season tournament outright without having to depend on strength of schedule. So there's now a lot of pressure on King's Gambit here to go perfect in the next 2 maps. We are guaranteed to get at least 2 more maps in this series. And man, Altruria decks, they just made this really interesting.
They absolutely made this series a lot more interesting. But with that being the end of map 2, we're going to take a quick break here and be right back with map number 3.